Hello, fourth graders. It is time for our math lesson for today. We're looking at 2-digit times 2-digit multiplication, and this is our lesson 90. All right, so we've done some of this already, and just thinking of how this looked, I said there's a couple different ways you can do this, and we've done a homework assignment on this in one fashion, and we'll look at another way of doing it too. So we said here to begin with, we said we leave the 46 as 46, and that we break this down into 20 and 5. Okay, so we would do 5 times 6 is 30, carry our 3, 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 more is 23. And then we crossed out our 0, we put our 0 right there. 2 times 6 is 12, carry our 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. And then we just added the two numbers together. Okay, that was the first way we looked at it. Now, today we want you to start looking at it and going in that downward column. So if we look at what this looks like, we are going to forget about our 2 right now. So I'm just going to cross it off right now. So what you have is 46 times 5. It'll be good if you do some examples with me or do some problems on your own and then check them with your parents or check them with your calculator. But let's take a look at how we do this. So we forget about the 2 for a little bit. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry our 3. 5 times 4 is 20, plus that 3 more is 23. Okay, so that's our first step. We forget about that 2. We just do the regular multiplication, 2-digit times 1-digit, like you've been doing for a long time. All right, now I'm going to take and I'm going to erase what I did here. Okay, so erase that, and I think I'm going to make my pen a little bit different here. Well, it should work fine. Okay, so I erased that. We have 23 here. That doesn't look like a good 3, so I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to make it better. Okay, so we'll go back to our pen. And we're going to make that a 23. That looks a little better. There we go. Okay. Now we are done with the 3, so we're going to cross it off. And we are done with this 5 right here. And because of that, we can say, okay, I know there's not going to be any more numbers in my 1s column except 0. And that's like 46 times 20, just like we did here. 46 times 20, we cross off the 0, and then we put the 0 underneath there. Okay? The first line is dealing with 46 times 5. The second line is going to be 46 times 20. But we already know that we can cross off a 0 and put it down, so we're going to start with 2 times 6 and then 2 times 4. 2 times 6 is 12. Put our 2 here. Carry our 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. Add those two numbers together, and we get 1,150. All right, so to go over that again, we start with the 5. We do 5 times 6, 5 times 4. We're taking the 46 and multiplying it by 5. Then we're done with it, so we put a 0 right there, and cross it out so you know which one I'm talking about there. Always in that bottom right hand corner you should have a 0. If you don't have a 0, then you've done the problem wrong. So that's one checkpoint. After you're done with your problem, make sure there's a 0 there. All right, 2 times 6 is 12, carry our 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. That's how we did this line here. That's where we came up with that 920. 46 times 2 with our 0 dropped. Okay, and then we added them together. Let's do the same with this one over here. All right, so we do 5 times 4 is 20. I carry my 2. Remember, we're not carrying about that 2 there at all. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. All right, so we're done with that 2 now, and we are done with that 4. So we're going to put the 0 underneath there to say there is nothing in that ones column. All right, now I'm going to change the color here, and I hope to at least. I don't know why it's red when I pushed a different color, but we'll continue. All right, let's see if it worked and changed colors. All right, so we have, now we're doing 35 times 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry my 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And then we add them together, 0, 4, and 8. 840. Okay? If I did it the other way, I should come up with that same answer. So top number times the ones column, 35 times 4. Place a 0 under the answer in the ones column. Place a 0 in the answer under the ones column there. Top times the tens column. Top times the tens column. Add the both numbers together. Okay? Now, let's look at an idea of what's a reasonable answer for something. So when you're doing your math, one of the things you want to do is to make sure that your answer is reasonable. You'll know if your answer is in the ballpark, if it's kind of reasonable or right, if we look at rounding and then finding that answer. So 86, if I'm going to round 86, I'd round it to 90. If I'm going to round 74, I'd round it to 70. And then I would do the math, right? I'd cross off my zeros, and I'd put them back on the end. And then I do 9 times 7 is 63. And so 6,300 is a reasonable answer. Now if we go back to the page before, I had 35, which rounds to 40. I have 24, which rounds to 20. I drop my zeros, put them back on, and I have 800. And my answer was 840. Now you see, if I didn't put that 0 there, and I just did my math, I would end up with 210. I would know that by looking at the estimate that my answer was way off if I ended up with 210. And then I'd have to go back and check and see where I went wrong. All right, so rounding and finding your estimated answer can really help you to decide whether you have a reasonable answer. Let's find the exact for that. Okay, so we have 86 times 74. We're going to forget about the 7, and we're going to do 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 2 more is 44. No, 34. That's right. Okay, see, sometimes we all have issues like that. Cross out your 2, you're done with it. Make that 4 a 0 and put that 0 right under there. Remember, right under the ones column, you need a 0. 7 times 6 is 42. Bring our 4 up. 7 times 8 is 56. 56 and 4 more gives us 60. Okay. Now we can add them together. 4, 6, 3, 6. 6,364. That's close to 6,300. Okay. I could do it the other way. It just takes more space. And our number was 74, so we break it apart, 70 and 4. 24, 32, and 2 is 34. Whoops. 34. All right, 0 comes down, 42, 56, 60. All right, so we have 6020 plus 344. It's exactly what we did over here. We're doing the exact same thing. Okay. Now, we're going to do one practice, and then we'll be done. All right. So look at that number. and I want you to say out loud, what's the first multiplication part that you do? All right, hopefully you said 91 times 5, or you might actually just have said 1 times 5, because that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to forget about that 6, right? All right, 1 times 5 is 5. My next part is what times what? 5 times 9, good. Or 9 times 5, 45. All right, what number am I done with? I'm done with this 5 right here. I'm going to cross it out. What is my next step? Where do I need to put a 0? Okay, so we're going to put a 0 here under that 5. Now, I want to concentrate on that 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 9 is 54. Now what do I do? Add them up. 5 and 0 is 5. 6 and 5 is 11. 4 and 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And then we have our 5,915. I'm going to round just to check it out. 65 would round to 70. Cross off my zeros, put them down here. 9 times 7 is 63. 6,359. It's when you get to these type of numbers, about 1,000 is normal for your variance. You can basically, it might even be like mostly around 500. If you're somewhere within 500 of that, it should be pretty close, and that's what it is. It's less than 500 different. All right. So you might need to watch this 2 or 3 times just to get that process down. Please do so. You have a worksheet for your lesson 90, and hopefully all that goes well for you. And keep practicing those basic multiplication facts. Go to, the different places that we've gone to practice math stuff, and do what you can to make sure that it's all ready to go. Okay? I will talk to you tomorrow when we work on our practice test. Again, like I said, you can watch this over and over again.